Okay, a bit about another award or honor. It's kind of both. It was the 2014-2015 SOEST Academic Achievement Award, which I won or got for financial assistance as a scholarship in the spring 2014 term at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa. And then I got again, only for the full year, in the 2014-2015 academic year at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa. And SOEST stands for School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology. And I was in the Department of Geology and Geophysics, major in Geology and Geophysics, minor in mathematics is what I ended up graduating with. And for I've talked a little bit about the spring 2014 one. And then there was an application cycle again, but it was different because I had already won the award. So they still needed certain materials, though they could pull it up themselves. So it was, in that sense, a little bit more hands-off of a application process than the year before. And the biggest thing was we could choose to reuse the application essay we used for the previous one, like the people who were applying to it, or we could write a new essay. And so I was like, at that point in time, I was working in the physical volcanology lab for one of Bruce Houghton's graduate students, doing like a bunch of shaking of rocks is how I'll describe it. And then I had 2 undergraduate theses, and one in experimental petrology, growing olivine crystals in rocks, glassy rocks. And then in a vertical tube furnace that got really hot. And then on the other undergraduate thesis I was working on looking at minerals and pumice from volcanic eruption, the density of those pumice and classifying them and that kind of stuff. In pumice and other rocks from a volcanic eruption. Both of those were, the theses projects were on rocks from the Hawaiian Islands. And I was at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa. And for the second one, I chose to keep the same essay. And it was a big thing, right? It was a chunk of financial assistance. And so it was like, you know, it matters if I choose to reuse my essay from the year before and then I don't get it. The scholarship. And I chose to go with it because for both of my thesis projects, both of my theses, undergraduate theses, I was looking at minerals, or the geochemistry in minerals or the rocks. In my essay for the year before, I had actually chosen to focus on mineralogy. Had I not chosen to focus on mineralogy, I might have written a new essay. However, since that mineralogy being kind of my like focal point of the essay and my research and studies at the university, I was like, since it's still entirely relevant, I'm just gonna reuse the same essay, right? Which was kind of cool in some way to be like that first essay still is true, right? It didn't all of a sudden change, you know, half a year later or 4 months later or whatever, to half a year later of all of a sudden I'm doing something different. No, it's true. That so I thought that was kind of cool, to get that like right about myself, so to speak. And so that was, it helped me pay for tuition. In addition to my research work, I ended up in a lab, and then I worked for the 2014-2015 year as a grader. It was my 5th year at a 4-year institution. I started my undergraduate studies in 2008 and graduated in 2015. The first 2 years were running start program, which actually meant I had to take my high school diploma requirements. And then whatever was kind of left over, I got to choose at the university in addition to fulfilling the degree requirements. So it wasn't quite like I was attending university for a college degree because I was fulfilling my high school requirements. For my first 2 years of college, I started that when I was approximately 16 years old. Yeah, so my first year in college, there was a high school running start program in Washington State, United States of America, Planet Earth the original. But my first 4 years at a 4-year institution, my grandma helped pay for tuition, and because it was my 5th year at a 4-year institution, 7th year overall, but I didn't have tuition that was covered as part of the Washington State Running Start program. Those 2 years I got my associate degree as a teenager in high school. Attending campus. I was a full-time college student. And so my grandma didn't help out, so this scholarship really helped. My parents stepped up and paid a little bit more, but this helped kind of like buffer that a little bit by covering more of my tuition. The like Grandma Connie $6,000 going away got like partially covered by this scholarship I won. But my parents really helped me out that last year. I just remember being like, there's the like, could stay on longer and do a double degree, and I was just like, no. I'm working all the way. I started working when I was 14 years old. I graduated in 2015 at it's August 2015, August 15th, I think 2015, at 22 years old. All right, I'd been in college for 7 years, full-time college for 7 years, and I had worked all my way through, and I started working before I started attending college. I started working when I was 14, and I was just like, I'm tired. And so I went to graduate school where I got my tuition covered as part of my agreement, and I got a salary and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a I did a lot that year. I did really good that year. I also was ready to be graduated. And I enjoyed the year for the most part. I had some like outside of school stuff kind of come up, but yeah. So there's a little bit about that award and honor.